Welcome back to Spotlight. It's my pleasure to have with me this evening Acting Principal and Pro-Vice Chancellor of the University of the West Indies Open Campus, Dr. Luce Longsworth. Welcome to Spotlight. Good to see you again.
It's good to be back again. Thanks so much.
Yes. So you're here for, what, a couple of days?
3 days, too short. I would have loved to have stayed longer and caught up. So can I take this opportunity to apologize to all of my friends in the British Virgin Islands for not being able to see them, because this is a really quick trip. So
that's right. They're going to see you on TV
and they'll be very upset.
Yeah, she came to BVI and didn't stop by. Oh, yeah.
That's real bad. That's real bad.
You're going to get licked. Yeah. So what's the reason for the visit?
Well, I took up the position of acting principal of the UWI Open Campus in May. And since then, obviously, I have been, traveling. The UWI Open Campus is in 16 countries. We have 44 sites across the region. And it is important to touch base, because even though we do a lot of our work virtually, we in the Caribbean, there's nothing like the human touch.
Yeah.
And of course, I have a special fondness for the British Virgin Islands. And any excuse to be here, I would jump at. But certainly we wanted to touch base with, with the government, with the staff here, with our students, just to let them know what is happening in the university. We know that times are tough for the region, and so it's very important that the university continues to be on the ground, listening to what our people, our government are saying to us in terms of the needs of the region. And so we have to come and hear from you. We can't just create things and say, well, this is what we have. We really have to respond to what is needed in the region. And each country has its own special needs.
Yeah. Well, I know here in the BVI, as you well know, we've been having a long discussion for a long time about academically inclined and vocationally inclined, and the stigma on the vocationally inclined, and the so-called prestige on the academically inclined. And that whole attitude has, I think, somehow put us in a position where the builders of the country are not being trained. So we train a lot of professionals, and it's good, accountants and doctors, we need those as well. But electricians and plumbers and contractors and carpenters and so on, we've been falling short on that regard. And so, of course, we've just opened up a state-of-the-art technical school.
Right.
And so how is the University of the West Indies planning to fit into what is becoming our shift in education, or our evolution, I should say, in education?
Right. And you're quite right that there should not be any competition between the academic or the vocational stream. And in fact, in the new world that we're living in, there is almost seamless movement. We see in the developed, I hate to use that term, in the northern countries, for example, Germany, where their university education has a clear connect between the academic and vocational, and all students leave university with some kind of vocational skill as well as their academic qualification. I think that is an excellent model, which in the Caribbean we are certainly moving in that direction with the CVQs and NVQs, the vocational qualifications, now dovetailing into the university, so that there should not be any stigma that if a person is doing a vocational subject at a level that is equivalent to a university level, it is just as important as if they are doing law or medicine or so on in terms of the building of the nation. But on the other hand, we also have to remove the stigma that says that if you are vocationally oriented, then you can't do academic work.
Yeah.
Right.
But times have changed. You have to be able to do academic work.
Exactly.
I mean, you know,
yes. The knowledge economy is such that your tools are in your brain more than the tools that you carry in a tool bag.
Yeah.
So even when you talk about a plumber or an electrician, you know, even the toilets are electronically controlled in some countries now.
And
so
the cars, you know,
Yes.
you have to put your computer on the cars in order to diagnose the problem.
So
Yeah.
I think that limit or that line that sort of delineates academic and vocational is blurring. But I would say to you, and maybe not a lot of people know this, that the open campuses, legacy institutions, the extramural department, as perhaps it might have been known in the BVI earlier, the School of Continuing Studies has always advocated for that union, that what we are here for is really bringing to the people what is needed for development. And in some of our sites, for instance, in Trinidad and Tobago, we do quite a lot of vocational subjects at the open campus. And then it leads people to developing qualifications that we are able to know through prior learning assessment to say, well, you have been a master plumber for 10 years. You have never done a bachelor's degree, and maybe you're interested in doing some business so that you can run your business. But let us look at what you have done, and we can assess that. And we can say to you, well, all of the experience you have equates to 10, 15, 20 credits, which gives you advanced placement. So we're now able to do that. So the university is evolving. I think we're certainly recognizing that education is changing and that we have to change as well.
What is your research showing in terms of what the regional needs are regarding vocational training, technical training?
I think what the research is showing is that our technology, our technological base is not strong enough for the kinds of new opportunities that exist. But it also shows that we have to capitalize on where we have strengths and to know how to really market those strengths. So for example, we have a region that is very rich in culture that cannot be imitated anywhere else. So we have to find ways of harnessing that, of monetizing that, of commercializing that to the benefit of the people. We also know that we have great potential in agriculture as a region. And we feel that that is an area that is going to make us a very competitive region with what is happening with climate change. So a lot of research is going on now in the university in new forms of agriculture. An interesting one is recently we had a breadfruit conference at the St. Augustine campus. And honestly, there are about 1,001 ways that you can use the breadfruit. Not just for food, but for other byproducts. And this is something that is growing well all over the region. So what we are seeing is that we really have to start looking more at what we have and seeing how we can make that valuable rather than worrying about how we can imitate things from overseas.
Well, you touched my nerve there. With that. Because, I had an occasion to go to St. Lucia one time and wanted to taste bananas from St. Lucia, that was grown in St. Lucia, because I know that St. Lucia I'm buying St. Lucia bananas from Miami.
Right.
And I want to know why it is I have to buy St. Lucia bananas from Miami. Why aren't Caribbean people and governments setting systems up so that we can get the fresh fruits and vegetables as they come off the plantation into our region, as opposed to having it to go on the freezer to Miami, on the freezer, back, paying double shipping, freight and insurance and all the costs, and not have that money continuously circulating in the region. So, I'm happy to hear that you're talking about developing more agriculture, but the economics of the development of agriculture, I don't know how are you doing with that?
Well, I think that at the moment it is getting our youth interested once again in agriculture. And that's where the technology comes in again. We're doing quite a lot of research on using new technologies to develop greenhouses. I've seen at one of our research days, a young PhD in physics has developed a system that can actually control the greenhouse on his little computer like the one you have there, where he can be anywhere in the world and he can double check the temperature, the humidity and so on of the greenhouse. So, you know, it is really modernizing the technology that deals with agriculture. Our young people, I suppose, moved away from the land because they thought of it as hard, back-breaking work. But the technology is changing.
Our parents told us that.
Yes, and many of our parents didn't want us to
Yes.
to do some of the things that they did because they thought we want better for our children. But no, but the UE is at the cutting edge of a lot of that. In the open campus, we are a technology campus, so we do a lot of online education, a lot of online learning. We feel very strongly that understanding how to handle the technology is going to be very key for our region. Because once upon a time, you read these reports and they talk about the sort of economic divide between the rich and the poor. When I'm reading things like the Global Competitiveness Report, they're talking about the technological divide.
Yes.
The people who have access to the technology and people who don't have access to the technology. And that's what's now dividing the world. Once again, we don't want the Caribbean to be on the wrong side of that divide. That's
right. So you seem now, from what you're saying, that the University of West Indies got a new vision, got a new mission.
Yes.
And what can we expect now, here in the BVI, first of all, but regionally from the University of the West Indies? Well, the time when the University of West Indies trained all the doctors and the lawyers, now you're looking to train another group.
Yes, yes.
What tell us about their vision and mission?
Well, as you know, we have a new Vice Chancellor, and the mission of the university is definitely to equip the region to be competitive. Always, that has always been the mission. But that competitiveness has changed as the world has evolved, and our Vice Chancellor's vision is that we are a regional university, but we must be a global university. We must be globally competitive. We must be able, obviously, to stand toe-to-toe with any other university, clearly. But also we're rooted in the Caribbean. And the Caribbean is not an insignificant region at all. If you think about what we have to offer, and if you think about the positive things about this region, just look at what has happened in the last week, you know, in Europe, and you think, you know, we have our little issues in the Caribbean, but we are a stable environment.
Nothing compared to what they have.
You know, so that vision of really moving it into the global arena so that the world can understand what the Caribbean has to contribute. The university has to lead that, but the university also understands that we're not being you know, sort of rose glasses. We recognize that the region has not recovered from the recession. We are still in the ditch. Every country is having a hard time coming out of the ditch and educating their people and moving economic development forward. We have to be part of that. So we have to be more than just educating the human resources. We have to start being a partner in the economic development. And that is the vision that the Vice Chancellor has, bringing economic development to the region so that our young people can have opportunities, as we were saying earlier off air, not just for a job, but to create jobs, to innovate and to create development.
So what can we expect in terms of programs, courses, offerings?
Well, we are here to listen to what is needed. As I said, the region, people talk about the Caribbean as if it is one sort of monolithic region. It is not. What is necessary in the British Virgin Islands, we come and we hear. You know, there are changes, let's say, in the financial services industry. So what does the country need now? Diversification. You have a Tourism Week coming up. And tourism is something that we are excellent at in the Caribbean. So those are areas where we would need to speak to say, well, what are the things that we can add value to in the British Virgin Islands? How can we help to really move the BVI into a new era of economic productivity? What can the university do? So it is a matter of really responding to needs differently to how the universities have tended to do in the past, where you are a PhD in physics, so you are offering a course in physics. It doesn't matter that only 5 people really care anything about that course. But the point is, we now need to know what are the things that we need. If it is to bring software development to the region, if it is to bring animation, if it is to, those are some of the areas that we are looking at. And another important area for us is young men and participation in tertiary education. We're seeing a huge drop-off in that, and we think that we need to find ways that will really bring them, and through the vocational level, I think it will help as well, to bring them back into a more formalized educational system for the benefit of themselves and the country, because we have too many disaffected young
Are you
men.
going to be offering more vocational programs, and on what level? Because a lot of times we look at vocational training on levels that don't seem to be the same as academic training.
Right.
And so are you going to raise the bar, say, for construction workers or electricians? And can you get a master's degree, for example, in being an electrician, or a master's degree in being a plumber, on that level of academic achievement? What is the university's plans to raise the standards of those vocations and those technical fields?
I think that one of the things that the university definitely has realized over the years, and it's certainly my own view, is that the university cannot be the only institution, and we have to partner with other institutions. And the vision that we have now is the creation of a more seamless educational system that will allow for persons who have done perhaps vocational courses to use those to give them credit to go into, let's say, a more academic environment if they wish. So if you have studied to be an electrician, you may want to look at it in a much more academic way, or you may want to simply study an area that will allow you to run your business better in terms of doing a business management degree or an accounting degree or something like that. But in the past, because you had done electrical technology, you would not have had the qualifications to enter these programs, and that is what the university is looking at, how we can work with other institutions to ensure that persons are able to move into the academic area and vice versa. I will tell you that I would love to see our students who are studying academic subjects also, like in Europe, leave with a skill. So I am doing, history, but when I graduate, I can also do plumbing, or blueprint. I think that is the way the region has to go. So the university is leading that attempt at change, but it's also a mindset change, because it's not just the university. Parents would say, why are you doing this? You should be at school studying your book. Why are you there looking at plumbing, or vice versa? Why are you thinking that
plumbing is beneath you?
Exactly.
We have to change that mindset.
And I think it is changing.
Yes, I think so.
I think it is changing, definitely. But we in the open campus, we have the flexibility of working with the university in converting a lot of the things that people would normally have to perhaps go to Kingston or to Port of Spain for, into online learning. And I think that in the BVI, that is a huge opportunity for persons who may not be able to go abroad. If you are here, you are working, but you want to continue to upgrade yourself, check us, because we have bachelor's programs, master's programs. In fact, we've just launched a doctoral program that educators would be interested in educational leadership. And this is one way that the world is moving now, because there is no way we can keep up with the bricks and mortar in terms of the need for educating people. So this is another pathway that people can approach the UWI and see what we have and let us know what we can work on. We even have a bachelor's in hospitality and tourism management.
Well, that's exactly what I was talking about. Those are
Online.
those are kind of standards I'm hoping to see in all aspects
Yes.
of our training needs. And now you talk about teachers. Teacher training is becoming a real important factor, particularly here in the BVI.
Yes.
And as you know, the college has just received accreditation.
Right.
And student learning outcomes is really the focus of the accreditation process for us. And we need to know that we have the teachers, the trained teachers, that's going to maintain that accreditation standard. How is the University of West Indies positioned in that regard? Because we know that it's not all, because I have knowledge of chemistry and history and English, it doesn't mean I can teach.
Right.
Because as far as I know, that's a
Exactly.
special skill and has special skill sets, and even leading edge technologies involved in teaching and learning now. How is the university positioned to service those needs?
Yes, well, the university has always had quite a good partnership throughout the region with the teacher education institutions, and in fact, with the college here, we've had programs that have been franchised and so on, so that we are always a partner in teacher education. That is a given, and we recognize that it is the area that it's sort of like the hand that rocks the cradle.
Yes.
It is the hand that teaches our children. So getting involved with teacher education is very, very important. We do have relationships certainly with the college through the Joint Board for Teacher Education, which is a part of the entire UE system. But the important thing is allowing persons the flexibility of learning how to teach. And it's two ways. One, you have certain courses that teach you how to teach, but you don't have the content. And that is problematic in some countries, that a lot of people go to teachers' colleges and they learn how to teach, but they don't have the depth of content to teach at, let's say, a CXC or a CAPE level. So the university is there that they can get the content through a degree. And then you have the people with the content but who don't know how to teach, and you have the ability to do so. And again, many teachers are not necessarily able to go full-time to college, and so the university has flexible ways. We have bachelors of education online across the region, not so much in BVI, but across the region we have quite a few people who have earned their teaching diplomas online and are excellent teachers. So we are providing many pathways for people to have access to those skills.
We're falling under the tearing of the clock. But I want to ask one final two-part question. Those tough times, and so people need financial assistance.
Yes.
Can we rely on, how can we rely on UWI for financial assistance? What kind of scholarships you provide,
Right.
academic as well as grants and so on, and how easy it is to contact the university and to get the information you need, and where is that information sourced from
Right.
on the university?
The university itself actually gives every year over 100 scholarships of different types, and that is listed on the university's website. So the generic uwi.edu, and then you can go and look for financial assistance. So we ensure that we partner with companies, organizations, and even from our own budget, putting money towards scholarships across the region. That is one thing. But one of the things that we have been doing recently is on our local national level, also launching drives to ensure that we can collect sums of money that can be used for grants for persons within that particular country, because the regional scholarships are spread and are often based obviously on merit, and the competition is very stiff. But what we certainly want to do here, and I was discussing it today, is to have a scholarship fund, to speak to the private sector, to speak to other interested parties of building a fund that would support students studying at UWI. Because I think that is very, very difficult for a student who doesn't necessarily have a scholarship to fund themselves. So it is important. We're doing it across the region. Times are hard, as you said. We can't ask the governments to do everything. We have to be very self-reliant. So, we appeal, and I appeal to the private sector, because oftentimes students who study online are not given the same sort of support as a student who sits in a classroom. And in fact, if you look at the value you get, if you have somebody who is working in your business, is taking their own time at night to study and upgrade themselves, you are getting triple the value than someone who perhaps would have left and maybe not even come back to the BVI because they've gone up to the States or wherever and they don't want to come back.
Yes.
So it really is good to support people studying in your territory. Yes, you want them to have the exposure and so on, but there are definitely instances where that is so much more productive. So yes, I would appeal to anyone. Please come and see us. We do have a UWI Open Campus site, as you know, at Paraquita Bay, right beside the Lavity Stout College. We collaborate very closely, and you can come and speak with us, or all of the technology people. Our website is open.uwi.edu, and you can contact anyone at any time. All of our emails are there, and we can provide you with the information.
Yes, Dr. Luce Longsworth, certainly a pleasure to talk to you. And
nice to speak to you too.
Great information, and I'm sure our government is looking forward, and our college is looking forward to continue to work with UWI to fulfill the needs of the BVI and certainly the needs of the region.
BVI is a founding member of the University of the West Indies, one of the first countries to have supported the university. It is your university. It is not any kind of foreign university. So continue to support it.
And I would say 80% of the leaders in the territory, business and government, came out of the University of the West Indies. So the relationship is there and strong.
Very strong.
Good to see you.
Good to be here. Thanks again.
All the best. We're going to take a break for a word from our sponsors. When we come back, with the members of the Taurus Board, the director of the Taurus Board, Ms. Sharon Flax Mars, as well as the marketing manager, Keith Dawson, and product officer, Connor Klein. We're going to be discussing Tourism Month and all the fun things that has already happened and all the fun things to come. Don't go away. We'll be right back after these words from our sponsors.
Spotlight is brought to you by Tortola Concrete Limited, the National Bank of the Virgin Islands, and CCT Global Communications.